So hello and welcome back to the channel, and this is where we left off the last time. So we have the games list, we have the product form. In this episode our job is to complete the product form and connect it to the Redux, right, so that we can finally use it, update our store and see the changes in the products list. So let's get to it. Let's get rid of the stuff that we don't need. Basically this, and this. We won't be taking any props. And now, as I mentioned before, the state of the form should be local to the component. So I won't be holding the value of the inputs inside Redux. Believe me, it's always a bad idea. It's a mess. I don't recommend using stuff like Redux form or putting the state of the form into Redux by yourself. So what we need is a piece of state to hold our product. Let's do just that. We'll use state. We're gonna hold a product here, and we'll get some basic starting values here. We need to import the product, and it does live in product slice. So let's export that. Now we can, come on, sometimes import just doesn't work, right? So we are importing from the product slice. We're taking our base interface here. Fine, now we have to provide the base values. And this is going to be the empty string, and the string, and the price is going to be set to 0. Okay, now what I'd like to do is to provide the value here. This is going to be, well, I could write product title, right? But I can type that here, way shorter than. Now we need the value here. Value here, this is going to be price and ID, basically everything we need. So this is the price, that's our ID. Now we need a way to update our form, and I believe it's always a good idea to use the name specified here, right, to handle that problem. So write a function handle change, which will have an event, of course, and this is going to be React change event generic. So I'm using HTML input element here. It will set a product. We'll use the previous value, and we need to do a little bit of magic here because it's very hard. TypeScript, type it, but we can cast this to any type. You know that event has a target, has a name and a value. can update that to provide a new copy so that React can see that something is changing. Return new value. But and of course, if I add this here, that the basic way of handling stuff, handling the values in the React works. But let's consider this for a moment. Let's see one thing. What if I won't do the copy here, and I will just return the old state? You see, React doesn't see that something has been updated because we're returning the same object, and in JavaScript the objects are passed through reference. So we're returning the same object, and React doesn't know that we changed the inside of the object. Just sees that, well, that's the same object, there's no reason to update and re-render, right? That's why that won't work. One thing. Second thing is we're doing here that may seem strange is this. Well, the name is a string and the pref object is of type product, which has well, very well described keys. Yeah, it's an ID, title, and price, and here the name can be any string. That's why TypeScript doesn't agree with us using the any key for a product object, because it might be something that doesn't exist in a product. For example, I don't know, name or address, right? So this is a little trick when we ensure TypeScript that, well, we exactly know what we're doing here. So sometimes you have to help compilator a little bit. Sorry. Am I being sick? Sick for programming. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's us updating the state. Now it's time to submit our form, right? So I will add a type to our button. It will be submit. And I will add on submit to my form. Call this handle submit. Okay, and let's create that. Submit. Okay. So again, React form event now. And we'd like to do something with the product here. Well, yeah. I would like to have a simple product here, but let's refactor this just a little bit. We'll do that so that we can use the product here. And then let's just unpack it here. That's the title, the price, and the ID. Okay, and let's see how. Cannot find it. You cannot find it. Okay, so let's say that I'd like to add a cyberpunk price of 25 and ideal cyberpunk. bump that up a little bit. Okay. So now if I click add price, something strange happened. See, our page was reloaded and our URL was modified. And this is basically kind of sort of historical stuff of how forms were submitted to the servers in the good old PHP days. Oh, that's not the effect that we'd like in our single page application. So one thing that we have to do to prevent the reload and prevent the default behavior of a browser when submitting a form, will prevent default. And now you can see that it works just fine. We have our product here. Okay, so now I'd like to add this product here to the product list that we have. Okay, so we have a function here, our register. We have our action unpacked from product slice action, and we can use that with dispatch. And the way we do that is by creating custom hooks that are separate to the store. I will call them for hooks. Yes, sounds reasonable. Here we'll be creating a typed version of our hooks, just so that we can get the types right for TypeScript. And we need 2 things, 3 things, 5 things, whatever. Type use selector hook, use dispatch, and use selector hooks, and types from our store. And this is going to be root state and app. This should be there. No idea why we don't have that here. But we can create one. Type app dispatch is type of store dispatch, and use app patch. That's the use patch of type app dispatch. And this is just so that we can get our types right. Actually, that one should exist here. And then there's the one with selectors. Probably need that too. We'll see, maybe. But this is a typed use selector hook of root state. Actually points to use selector. Okay. So this is just a bit of magic that we need to add to get the proper types in our app. Use app dispatch and use app selector. And now we have that. We can, this is file. That's the file. We can get our dispatch here by use app dispatch. Okay. And here you can see, if you hover over it, that the dispatch is of type tank dispatch, and we have the products with a product type. Okay. So now it's just a matter of adding dispatch dispatch. Yeah, that's the correct one. But dispatch, and now we have to call our action, which is add product of product. So here we're using the dispatch, and you can imagine dispatch as the process, just like described by its name. It's like signaling to every single of your slices, hey, we are dispatching, we are signaling, we're distributing an action all over to all of our slices. And we expect to have some kind of action in some kind of slice that can understand that action and update the state properly. In this case, dispatched action is add product with the payload of product. And we know, because we wrote it and types are helping us here a little bit, that there is a reducer in the product slice that can handle that action and know exactly how to update the state with that action. So let's see that in action, pun intended. Okay, so we have Cyberpunk with price of 25 and ID of Cyberpunk. And if I click add price, it shows on the top of the list. So we have that done. Okay, so what else can we do? Since we have the ability to add products, we should have also ability to remove products, right? And there's one interesting thing here, actually. Well, in Redux, you should always return new state, right? Just as I showed you in React, where we had to return new state here, even though it's a copy. But it's new, therefore React can actually see that the object of the state was changed. Historically, you had to do the very same in Redux. But recently, there have been small change, meaning Redux isn't working now internally on the simple JavaScript objects, actually working on data structures provided by Immer, which is a solution for creating the immutable state. And interesting because you can read about Immer here. It's really interesting because we don't have to perform state update like this, right? Even though we know it will work, we can actually update state like this, state push action payload. So this might be counterintuitive because I'm not returning new state. Seems like I am updating the state, which wouldn't work or would throw an error in the older version of Redux. But now you can see that even though I changed the code, it's working. Right? And this is all because of the immutable data structures side of Redux. So there are two ways to update the state in Redux, which is, I believe it's fine. Just must be aware that below there's a mechanism, the immutable Immer data structure, that lets you do this and actually internally will provide a copy for Redux. Okay, I believe that's all for that episode. In the next one, we will handle removing stuff from Redux. Okay, so I will see you there. Bye.